If your ex was a narcissist, then they might have blamed you for the breakup and said it's all your fault, even though you know that the reasons that they gave you weren't actually legitimate reasons for breaking up with you, and a lot of the things they said were not even true. What's going on with a narcissist is that they need to tell themselves stories about things that happen in their life. And in general, I'm going to give them some credit because in general, as humans, when there is an issue, we always like to have a reason for why that issue happened. So it's not only narcissists, but especially with them, even if it's something shallow, like maybe you start to gain some weight and they didn't want to admit that they are shallow enough to end it because of that, or maybe they got emotionally involved with someone else and they can't admit to themselves that, yeah, I started getting emotionally involved with someone else and that's why I'm ending this. They can't tell themselves that. Or maybe in general, they just lost general attraction for you and didn't like the future of where this relationship was going, but there's no real reason for ending it. Then understand that that is narcissistic behavior. They need to have a story in their mind, and so they'll come up with reasons that don't make sense to you. And again, if you know that you've been good in the relationship to some degree, obviously we all make mistakes. Maybe you were a little bit too clingy or needy, or maybe you were a little bit jealous and there was some bickering, stuff like that. That's not worth ending a serious relationship over. Maybe they took that and they ran with it and turned it into a whole laundry list of issues that they had with you. But really what's going on here is that they will be terrified now after ending it with you, deep down knowing that there wasn't a significant reason for it. They'll be terrified that the next relationship that they're in is going to be the same thing, where they push someone away and end it. If you were to look inside your ex's brain, and I can guarantee you this, they would know themselves deep down that it wasn't all your fault. And so they ended a connection, a love that they had with you over reasons that might have been shallow or might have been not justified in general for them to do this. If you could read their mind, they would know that it's not 100% your fault and that they probably had issues too. And they have to tell themselves a certain story about you or about any kind of situation that makes them feel better about the situation. Now, obviously, if you do some self-reflection on this and you do think that your ex was a narcissist, that is something to be aware of, but also you should reflect on if there were issues that you brought into the relationship that were your fault and that maybe were legitimate. And if there were, then you should address those things. The way to handle this is that you don't want to start apologizing or begging for them to come back. You don't want to try to address the things that they're blaming you for, because then it'll just feed into that cycle where even if you were to get them back, if they were to come back and be with you for a few weeks, the same issues would come back, right? They would feel comfortable in that cycle of being able to blame you for things when really they just have to tell themselves a certain story about the relationship and why it doesn't work as soon as they don't feel comfortable in the situation. Keep that in mind, and if you need help with any kind of situation with getting your ex back, feel free to book a call with me, or you could also check out my ebook, which will walk you through step by step how to get your ex back regardless of what the situation is, and I'm happy to work with you.